The ravenry of the citadel slept under a sky without stars. Old Town was muffled in a milky sea fog that turned the high tower's beacon into a blurred white smear above the city. The harbor bells had long since fallen silent. Ships groaned and knocked against one another in the dark, their masts ghostly spars behind the mist. In the highest rookery, where thousands of black eyes usually gleamed with restless hunger and bright cunning, the birds crouched in a heavy silence that set Maester Belden's teeth on edge. Ravens did not sleep like that, not all at once. He moved slowly along the narrow walkway, one hand skimming the stone to steady his old bones, the other arm burdened with a shallow tray of grain. The birds should have erupted in a storm of wings at the smell, should have set the rafters shaking. Instead, they hunched together with their beaks tucked into their feathers, like a field of soot-covered stones. "Wake," Belden murmured, his breath steaming in the cold. "Wake, you ungrateful bastards. Your letters will not carry themselves." A single raven opened its eyes as he approached. They were dark, too dark. For a moment he thought he saw a pale ring of blue around the pupil, but when he leaned closer it was gone. The bird uttered a sound that was not quite a croak and not quite a word. Something clotted in its throat. Belden's chain clinked softly as he straightened. The links of yellow, black, and gray dragged heavy on his thin neck. He told himself that the pressure in his chest was age and nothing more. Old men saw omens in shadows. Old men muttered of wonders. The citadel had taught him better. "Hungry," he insisted, brushing grain across a perch. "That's all. You've had too much to carry, with fools and kings flinging ravens at every squabble." The bird's beak opened wider. "Cold," it rasped, and the word, if it was a word, scraped across his nerves like a knife. Belden froze. The raven's eyes were wholly black again, flat and empty. It shook its feathers, sending a few loose ones drifting down to the floor, and hacked up a half-digested husk of grain. His claws shifted on the perch with a faint ticking sound. The rest of the birds did not stir. "Too much wine, you old fool," Belden told himself. His voice sounded small among the rows of silent cages. "You're hearing your own thoughts come back at you. You always knew that would happen near the end." He tipped the last of the grain into the tray and turned away, but his gaze snagged, as it always did, on the far corner of the rookery. There, on a lonely pedestal of black stone, sat a tall, thin candle made of glass as dark as obsidian. It had not burned in his lifetime. It had not burned in his grandfather's lifetime. The maester who had shown it to him as an acolyte had spoken of it as a curiosity, a fossil of a dead age. Once, that old man had said, fingers resting lightly on the cold surface, the world believed in such things. Fire that burned without flame, sights seen in stone, thoughts whispered across leagues. It made men mad. The order was forged, in part, to free Westeros from that madness. "We are the chain that binds the world to reason, Belden. Do not forget that." He had not forgotten. For 60 years he had taught boys the weight of metals and the bones of birds, the movements of the moon and the stubbornness of men. He had watched lords' bastards and merchants' sons alike bend their necks beneath chains that meant knowledge, not sorcery. But tonight, in the strange stillness, the glass candle seemed less dead. The fog-softened light from the high tower's distant flame glanced across it in a way that made its surface look almost wet, as if something within were stirring. Belden's hand shook as he reached toward it. His fingers hovered a hair's breadth from the black glass, feeling nothing, of course feeling nothing. A chill raced up his arm, sharp and sudden, as if someone had plunged his hand into winter water. Breath hissed through his teeth. A sound like distant wings filled his ears. For an instant, Old Town was gone. In its place, there was a great white wall stretching from horizon to horizon, and something moving in the dark beyond, pale and tall and terrible. He smelled cold as a taste, heard the soft crunch of frozen bones. "Maester!" The word snapped the vision like spun sugar. Belden jerked his hand back. The rookery rushed around him again. Ravens, tiers of them, motionless and watchful. The black candle sat mute. At the arch of the doorway, framed in mist, A figure in gray stood with a lantern held high. Archmaester Leland. Belden's throat was dry. He tried to smooth his voice with courtesy and failed. I did not hear you come up. Leland's own chain glimmered with the colors of many metals, but Belden's eyes kept being drawn to the 3 links of dull, irregular black iron that did not catch the light at all. The links of the hidden art. The conclave is assembled, Leland said. His face was lined but firm, a cliff that had forgotten how to erode. We await only you. Belden glanced once more at the glass candle. The air around it was still cold. Perhaps that was only his hand remembering. Tonight, he said. I did not think the vote would be so soon. We no longer have the leisure of doubt. Leland lowered the lantern, and its glow turned his pale eyes into coins. Dragons have hatched across the sea, more than rumor now. The dead refuse to sleep at the world's cold edge. Red Priest's howl of prophecies fulfilled. The omens are converging, and our chain is fraying. You of all men know what is locked beneath us, Belden. You helped maintain the wards for half your life. And for half my life I have wondered. The words slipped out before he could stop them. He swallowed the rest. Leland's gaze sharpened. Wondered. Belden felt every year of his age. Whether we had the right. The right to protect men from forces they do not understand? Leland set the lantern down and stepped into the rookery, boots whispering on straw. The right to stop the world from tearing itself apart every time some blind god stirs in its sleep? We are not talking of harmless tricks, Belden. You touched the candle tonight, did you not? Belden's hand closed over the tray until his knuckles whitened. Perhaps. I felt the shiver in the wards. Leland's voice softened, but no warmth entered it. You saw something. You felt how thin the veil has grown. That is without the candle burning. Imagine it rekindled and 1,000 others like it. Imagine dragons in every sky. Imagine the wall falling. Do you think kings will act with wisdom when the world begins to change in ways they cannot grasp? They will reach for power with bloody hands as they always have, only now fire and shadow will answer their greed. We are the only ones who remember how that ended. The only ones. The old words. Belden thought of the hidden library beneath the citadel, the scrolls that only black iron links admitted one to, the tales of the long night told not as story but as field report. Frozen cities. Rivers that flowed backward. Men whose eyes burned like embers until they burst from within. Their souls drained to feed some sprawling thing that was not quite a god. We are the chain, Leland said quietly. Tonight we decide whether it holds or breaks. Belden's gaze slid to the raven that had spoken, or not spoken, of cold. It sat with its head tucked beneath its wing again, a lump of feathers indistinguishable from its kin. Come, said Leland, and picked up the lantern. The others wait. Belden hesitated only a heartbeat longer before following. As he stepped out of the rookery, the glass candle lay black and still behind him. For the moment, the ship that bore Samwell Tarly to Old Town had 2 cracked masts, a captain with 3 teeth, and a smell like onion soup left too long on the fire. It lurched up the honey wine on the tail end of the same fog that smothered the city, sails hanging in damp rags. Sam stood at the prow, one gloved hand clinging to the rail. He had discarded his woolen cloak once, then dragged it on again as the river wind knifed through his night's watch blacks. Sleep clung to his eyes, sand-gritty and stubborn. It had been a long voyage from Eastwatch, and in every dream the wall reared up behind him like a slab of pale memory. He thought of Gilly, of the babe in her arms, of the snow and the cold and the dead, of John, face grim and eyes full of a duty too large for one man's shoulders. Learn, John had said, the last time they stood close enough to touch. If there's anything at all that can help us, the Maesters will know it. They have to. Sam had nodded, too choked to speak. The idea of leaving John had felt like tearing his own arm off. But he had gone. He had taken the sword and walked, because that was what he did now. Even when his legs shook with fear, he was still afraid. The citadel loomed ahead like a stone forest, towers and spires stabbing up through the fog. The high tower's beacon lit a pale hole in the mist above the harbor. Below, Old Town spread in a huddle of steep roofs and crooked streets along both banks of the river, its lamps little golden flecks in the gray. First time, the question came from his left. The captain's mate, a wiry woman with a face like dried leather, leaned on the rail and spat into the water. Her accent curled around her words in the lazy drawl of the Reach. Sam startled. He said, then corrected himself. Yes, don't gape too much. City'll have you by the purse before the Citadel has you by the neck. She grinned, showing a gap where her front teeth had once been. Though once you're chained, I suppose they've got your purse too. Sam tried to smile, trembled. I have to present myself, he said, to the seneschal, to someone, to be made a novice. His hand went unconsciously to his throat, to the spot where a chain might one day rest. If they'll have me. Walk into the belly of all the world's learning and you're worried they'll turn you away? She chuckled. You lot are stranger than mummers. Her gaze snagged on the black of his clothing. You're from the wall? Yes, Sam said more quietly. Her eyes flicked toward the north, though from here the north was only a direction, swallowed in fog. Heard tales, she shrugged. Never thought I'd see one of you in Old Town. They say dead men walk up there. White shadows. They do. The words came out blunt and flat. He could still smell the cold. He could still hear the crunch of bone beneath his boots. She heard something in his voice that made her amusement fade. Well, she said after a moment, best you tell your tales quick, then. Once the Maesters get hold of them, they'll cut all the good parts out. Call the rest a winter wind and a bellyful of bad stew. She tapped her temple. They don't believe in anything they can't weigh. Sam looked back at the Citadel. Its towers rose like fingers, some stone, some pale marble, one made of blocks of greenish glass. He had read about it since he was a boy, a place of books and wisdom, a place where knowledge was kept safe. That's not such a bad thing, he said, though his voice lacked conviction. Depends who decides what's real, the woman replied, and what's safe. The ship bumped gently against the wharf. Men shouted, ropes creaked, gulls screamed. The fog thinned into low shreds that clung to the hulls of waiting boats. Sam gathered his few belongings, a bundle of clothes, a leather satchel with the horn John had given him, and the broken-hearted remains of his courage, and followed the plank down into Old Town. The city smelled of fish and tar, of wet stone and the faint sweetness of cider from some unseen tavern. He stumbled on uneven cobbles, blinking at the crush of people. A boy with a tray of oysters darted past, nearly knocking him over. A septon in green and gold eye intoned a prayer over a bent old woman's bowl. Somewhere, a baker's oven spat out coils of warm bread scent. But above it all, like another sky, the Citadel arched. Sam made his way toward it, heart thudding in his throat. He crossed bridges over narrow canals, skirted markets where cobblers and candlemakers bellowed their wares. Gradually, the press of bodies thinned. The buildings grew taller, their facades more finely carved. He passed under the shadow of gargoyles that peered down with stone disdain. It was almost a relief when a voice, smooth and amused, said, "You're walking like a man going to the gallows, brother." Sam started and turned. A youth leaned against a pillar in a strip of sunlight that had somehow forced its way through the fog. His skin was the warm brown of the summer isles, his hair black and tightly curled. A bough hung over his shoulder. A thin, glinting wire of metal circled his neck. A single link of bright copper. I am not your..." Sam began, then caught himself. I am Samwell. Sam. From the Night's Watch. I have to present myself." The youth's smile widened. "All men who come to the Citadel are brothers soon enough, they say. The Citadel loves nothing so much as to make kin out of strangers, so long as they learn to think as it does." He pushed himself away from the pillar. "I'm all ears. Some call me the Sphinx. The Seneschal sent me to find you." "The Seneschal sent you?" Sam repeated, disoriented. He knows I'm here? He's known since your ship left Eastwatch, I suspect. Ravens fly faster than fair-weather sailors. Alariz's eyes flicked over Sam's bulk, his black clothes, the sword strapped awkwardly at his side. You caused quite a stir, you know? The wall sends men to us now. Men with tales of the dead and the return of things best forgotten. The conclave will be busy. I only came to learn, Sam said quickly, to help. The Lord Commander, well, he was Lord Commander. So I heard, Al-Iris said softly. Come, you can tell me all about him, and about what walks in the snow, and what flies across the sea. When we're somewhere the walls won't gossip. The walls? Sam echoed, peering at the carved stone around him. Don't gossip. Everything in Old Town gossips, Al-Iris said. You'll see. He set off with easy strides. Sam followed, clutching his satchel. Every second step, he thought of turning back. Every third, he saw John's face in his mind, kept his feet moving. They passed through a cloistered garden where pale winter roses clung stubbornly to their bushes. Then through a tall arched gate guarded by a pair of novice boys who stared curiously at Sam. Inside, courtyards and corridors unfolded in a bewildering maze. The citadel was not one building but many, joined together in a web of bridges and stairways. Do you know why we wear chains? Al-Iris asked as they walked. To show that you're bound to knowledge, Sam said. He had read that once. Each link a different metal, for a different subject mastered. That's what they say. Al-Iris fingered his copper link. Copper for history, silver for medicine, black iron for the things not written in the common books. His gaze sharpened. Have you ever seen a black iron link? Samwell of the Wall? Sam shook his head. No, you will. Alariz's smile was brief and crooked. If you live long enough. Something in his tone made Sam's skin prickle. Is it so dangerous then? He asked, trying to keep the tremor from his voice. Studying here? Al-Iris glanced at him sidelong. Knowledge is never safe, he said. Only ignorance passes for safety, and only for a little while. The conclave chamber lay deep within the citadel, beneath layers of stone and time. It was a round room with walls of smooth gray, windowless, its only light coming from a heavy brass chandelier in the center. The air smelled of oil, old parchment, and the sour tang of too many old men too long awake. Belden sat in his accustomed place, his back to the north, his hands entwined atop the table to stop them trembling. Around him, a score of other archmasters occupied high-backed chairs carved with the sigils of long-dead patrons. Their chains flashed and clinked as they shifted. Most wore faces that had forgotten how to smile. In the center of the table lay a heavy stone disc, its surface etched with lines and sigils that seemed to crawl if one stared too long. Its edges were chipped, its contours worn smooth by the touch of hands long turned to dust. 3 black iron necklaces rested on top of it, coiled like sleeping snakes. The last of the ravens are fed, Belden said. His voice echoed faintly in the chamber. All is as it should be in the rookery. Nothing is as it should be, muttered Archmaester Valen, the youngest at the table, though his beard was nearly white. Ravens sleeping when they should wake. Glass candles stirring. The high tower's flame dimming at the edges when there is no wind. If the candles are stirring, it is because men meddle with them who should not, said Archmaester Malin, whose hair had all fled his head save for 2 tufts above his ears, like wary birds. This Marwyn lights his candle and claims it burns of its own accord. He would have us believe the world is changing. I say he stokes embers best left cold. Marwyn has always been too fond of sorcerers and singers, another said. He sees dragons in every shadow. There are dragons on the other side of the world, Leland reminded them, his tone as level as a scales beam. 3 at least, hatched from stones the world thought dead. This is not a rumor only. We have had 3 separate accounts. The corsair from Karth, the Volantine trader, the raven that came from Lys. They agree on one thing. There is a woman with living dragons in the east, and the men around her are beginning to worship her. A woman, scoffed Valen. Girls play with lizards and call them dragons. Would that it were so, Lelandes. But it is not only the dragons. There is the matter of the wall. He inclined his head toward Belden, inviting him to speak. Belden swallowed. The boy has arrived, he said. Samwell Tarley. They say he slew an other himself and burned 3 whites. He comes with tales of the dead walking, of blue-eyed shadows and corpses that do not rest, of men calling themselves kings while the true enemy gathers. Several archmasters shifted uncomfortably. Others snorted. Every winter peasant tales crawl south with the snow, said Malin. Men see their own breath and think it a ghost. The wall has always had its stories. If we listened to all of them, we'd hang chains around every goatherd's neck. The boy is no goatherd, Belden said mildly. His father is Lord of Horn Hill. He has the look of a man who has seen more than he wanted. He does not embellish. He flinches when someone drops a cup. Fear makes tails grow, Valen said. Fear also makes men sharp, Leland said. But this is not about one boy and his fright. It is about converging currents. Dragons, dead men, red priests seeing their god more clearly in the fire. War in every kingdom of the realm. And the glass candles. The candles are not burning, Malin snapped. We have tested them. They remain cold. Belden thought of his hands stinging with winter. They spoke in a fashion, he murmured. To the boy, to the boy. Malin's eyebrows shot up. The one from the wall? Leland's voice sharpened. Not to him, Belden admitted. To me, when I touched the candle in the rookery. You touched it, Valen said sharply. Without preparation? Belden lifted his chin. I have borne black iron as long as you've had your silver. I know the wards, or I thought I did. The candle was cold, as always. Yet when I laid my hand upon it, I saw. The words stuck in his throat. I saw the wall, and something beyond it, and I felt a chill that was not of Old Town's fog. Murmurs rippled around the table. The wards are thinning, Leland said quietly. That is the heart of the matter. Whatever we have held back is pressing against its bindings. If we do nothing, the world will decide for us how it will break. If we act, we may at least shape the crack. The word sat heavy in Belden's gut. The great work was never meant to be undone, said Archmaester Orwyn, who had spoken little until now. He was older than Belden by a decade, his skin like parchment, his voice thin as cracked vellum. Around his neck, among other metals, black iron links gleamed dully. Our founders forged the chain after the long night, when the world was thick with madmen who thought themselves gods, when dragons darkened the daylight and rivers ran with the blood of sacrifices. They bled the world's magic into the ground and sealed it there so men might live by their own strength, not by the whims of unseen powers. We have tended that seal like a garden for centuries. Now you speak of meddling with it, of loosening it, even a little. I speak of reinforcing it, Leland said, of tightening the chain. The rituals that bound the excess of magic were laid down when its tide was already ebbing. We have maintained them, but we have never yet needed to renew them. Now, with new currents rising, the old sigils alone may not suffice. Renew, Orwyn repeated. You make it sound like polishing a mirror. We do have some experience, Malin put in. When the last Targaryen dragons began to wither, the great work was touched again. The Order helped nudge them toward their end, a necessary unpleasantness for the good of the realm. Necessary? Orwyn whispered, staring down at his hands. Yes, that is what we told ourselves. That Dragonfire consumed kings as quickly as it made them, that it was mercy to end an age of sorceress rule. We did not consider what would come next. An age of reason came next, Leland said, of ink and plowshares and men dying in smaller wars instead of greater cataclysms. And yet here we are, Orwyn replied, on the brink again. Leland's gaze swept the table, lingering on each man. Better we stand on the brink with our eyes open than tumble blind, he said. We have one advantage our founders did not: records of their work. The rites they used, the symbols they drew, the metals they chose. We can build upon their art, strengthen it, channel the rising currents away from chaos and into containment. Belden heard what he did not say. Away from kings and priests, away from dragons and others and whatever else stirred, and into the hands of the citadel. Is that our right? He asked again softly. To decide how the world works? Our duty, Leland corrected. We are not priests. We do not crown, we do not anoint. We watch, we remember, we shape when we must so that men might live under laws they understand. Do you wish to see the long night repeated? Do you wish to see shadows walking in cities? Fire falling from clear skies? I have seen shadows walking, Belden said. In dreams. So have I, Leland said. And I have no desire to see them waking. He reached toward the stone disc. His fingers hovered a moment over the coiled black iron, then closed, lifting one chain. The links made a soft, ugly sound as they slid over stone. Our founders began the work, Leland said. We must decide whether we will finish it. The hidden library lay beneath the citadel like a second, darker mind. Its corridors were low and vaulting, its shelves carved directly into the stone, its air cool and dry. No torches burned here. Light came from oil lamps enclosed in thick glass, their flames turned down to the smallest possible tongue. Sam did not belong here. He knew that with every step he took behind all eras. I shouldn't be down here, he whispered. His voice seemed too loud, blasphemous among the scrolls. I'm not even a novice yet. I haven't forged a single link. Normally you wouldn't, all eras said over his should. But there are some who think you should see the roots before you climb the tree. That doesn't entirely make sense. That depends which tree. All eras stopped before a heavy door bound in dull black iron straps. There were sigils carved into the metal, shallow enough that Sam couldn't quite make them out, deep enough that his eyes skittered away. You're here because you're inconvenient, Sam, because the tales you bring from the wall and the east don't fit easily on anyone's shelves. Some want to ignore you, some want to lock you away, and some want you to understand exactly what sort of place you've come to. Do you, Sam asked hesitantly, want to lock me away? I'm too young and too low in the pecking order to want much of anything that matters. Oliras smiled thinly. But I dislike seeing pieces moved on a board when they don't know the game. Better you have a glimpse, at least. He pressed his palm against the iron. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then Sam heard a soft click. The door swung inward on silent hinges. The room beyond was smaller than Sam had expected, almost cozy, if any place lined with old secrets could be cozy. Scrolls and bound volumes filled alcoves in the walls. A single table occupied the center of the chamber, its surface scarred and ink-stained. Above it, hanging from a hook driven directly into the rock, gleamed a chain of black iron links. Sam's throat went dry. "Close the door," said a voice. It came from a figure hunched at the far end of the table, half in shadow. Only when he moved did the lamplight catch on the jumble of metals around his neck. Gold, silver, bronze, copper, and black iron, more than Sam had ever seen in one place. Sam obeyed, fumbling behind him until the heavy door thudded shut. The air seemed to settle around them, thick and expectation-laden. "Make him sit before he falls," the man said to all eras. "He's shaking worse than a leaf in a squall." All eras guided Sam into a chair. Sam sat gratefully, clutching his satchel to his belly like a shield. His heart hammered. "I'm Maester Marwyn," the man said. "They call me the mage when they're being polite. They call me worse things when they think I'm not listening." Sam stared. This was the man the other maesters muttered about? He had expected someone tall and terrifying, like Ser Alistair Thorne with a chain instead of a sword. Marwyn was short, broad-shouldered, with a broken nose and a patchy beard streaked with gray. His small dark eyes were bright and sharp as bits of obsidian. "You're from the wall," Marwyn said. And you've seen more than is good for you. Ah, yes. Sam's voice came out squeaky. He cleared his throat. I mean, I've seen others. And whites. And... He hesitated. And dragons, though only from afar. And I've seen a glass candle burning. At Castle Black. Marwyn's eyes narrowed. Burning. Yes. Sam wet his lips. In a dream, or a vision, it showed me things. The wall, the sea, a woman with silver hair and dragons. I thought it was only my mind, but when I touched the candle in the rookery here, You saw again, Marwyn finished, and felt the cold. Sam nodded. Good, Marwyn said. Sam blinked. Good. That means the wards are failing. Marwyn's smile was not reassuring. Better an honest break than a slow rot. Tell me everything, from the beginning. Start with the fist of the first men. Sam told him. He spoke haltingly at first, tripping over his own tongue. But once the memories broke loose, they rushed out in a flood. The ring of dead men around the camp, the blue eyes opening in the snow, the howl of fear in his own chest. The journey to Craster's Keep, Gilly's frightened face, the march through the haunted forest. The attack at the fist, horses screaming, dead men who did not fall down when cut. The desperate flight to the wall, the climb of the wildlings. The battle in the freezing dawn. The red woman with her burning eyes. The ravens exploding from their cages in black storms. Marwyn listened. All eras leaned against the wall, his expression unreadable. When Sam faltered, Marwyn prodded with questions that went straight to the marrow. How did the others move? How did the cold feel? Did the whites seem sluggish by day? Did the wall sing? I what? Sam asked, bewildered. The wall, Marwyn repeated. Did you ever feel it hum? Sense something in it beyond the stone and ice? Sam thought of the times he had stood on its top in the dead of night, the wind cutting through him, the stars ablaze overhead. He thought of a distant, steady weight like a held breath. Sometimes, he admitted, it felt not alive, but listening. Marwyn nodded, as if he had expected no less. They put a great deal of power into it, our first builders, he murmured. Not only height and width, runes buried in the ice, songs woven into stone. Our founders knew that. They drew their rights from the same well. They chained what they did not understand and called it wisdom. Our founders, Sam repeated. You mean the first Maesters? Those who became the first Maesters, yes. The Grey Council, as they called themselves then. Marwyn gestured toward the shelves. Their records lie here, their fears, their arrogance, their triumphs, their mistakes. Sam looked around, his skin prickling. They bound magic? They nudged it, Marwyn said, diverted its flows, tore up roots and planted dams where they thought they were needed. After the long night, the world was half mad with wonder and terror. Shadows that killed, flames that spoke, beasts that should not be. Men like to lie to themselves and say all that faded on its own, that the gods turned their faces away. It's neater that way, less responsibility, but the truth is Messier. There were men and women who decided they knew better than the world. They shortened dragons' lives. They weakened the hold of certain old gods. They taught that miracles were follies and that only things which old be written and weighed were real. And they became the Maesters? Sam asked. Not all, Marwyn said. Some died. Some vanished into their own nets. But their philosophy stuck. The citadel grew out of their bones. A school for men who distrusted anything they couldn't dissect. He snorted. Useful enough for a while. They brought healing, agriculture, laws that weren't left entirely to the whims of mad kings. But they also maintained the dams they were given. They tended the chains that held back more than they understood. Sam thought of Leland's words. We are the chain that binds the world to reason. Is that wrong? He whispered. The long night was terrible. If magic, if it hurts people. Fire cooks and burns, Marwyn said. Water quenches thirst and drowns. Steel plows fields and spills blood. Magic is no different. It isn't good or evil. It simply is. The question isn't whether it exists. It's who uses it and how. He leaned forward. Tell me, Samuel, was it wrong when you used dragonglass to kill another? Would it have been better to die by the logic of fearful men? Sam remembered the weight of the obsidian in his hand, the shock of the blade sliding into brittle ice flesh, the way the creature's scream had cut through the world. No, he said, voice hoarse. If I hadn't, it would have killed us all. Exactly, Marwyn said. There is a war coming, boy. Between ice and fire, life and death, whatever names you want to give it. Your brothers at the wall will stand at the hinge. The old gods will stir in their trees. Dragons will fly. And here in Old Town, there are men who look at this and say, ah, chaos. Better to stop it before it starts. Better to snuff out dragons and shadows alike, so we can go back to a world that makes sense on paper. They will use every tool they have to do it. The rights our founders left. The black iron links. The wards bound under our feet. Sam's hands were suddenly slick with sweat. They would stop the others then, he said hesitantly. If they bound magic, all of it. Marwyn studied him, eyes intent. Would they? He asked. That's the question, isn't it? The first dam channeled magic away from men who would have used it blindly. It also kept certain dead things asleep. But the world has shifted since. New cracks have opened. Old powers have found their way around the chains. And the men who tend those chains now are not the ones who forged them. They don't understand all the forces at play. When they tug one link, they'll pull on more than they intend. Sam swallowed. What will they do? They will meet, Marwyn said. They will weigh options. They will tell themselves they are only preserving the realm from superstition. They will decide on a course of action. It may be tonight, it may be tomorrow, but it will be soon. And you? Sam asked. What will you do? Marwyn's smile was slow and crooked. I am a maester, he said. I watch, I learn. Sometimes, when fools are about to burn down the library, I shove their candles aside, or I light my own. He leaned forward. Tell me, Samuel of the Night's Watch, if you had to choose between a world where no magic existed and the dead marched unchecked, or a world where magic surged and men had to learn quickly or die, which would you choose? Sam's mind flinched away from the pictures it conjured. A world without magic and the dead still walking? Is that even possible? He blurted. Possible, Marwyn shrugged. The founding rites were designed to bleed off excess, to dampen everything. If you tighten those bindings when one side is already straining harder, you might smother fire, but the ice might slip through another crack. Or you might break the whole dam and drown everyone. Or you might do something no one has drawn on their pretty diagrams. Sam realized his hands were shaking. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. What does any of this have to do with me? He asked, almost pleading. I'm just Sam. I can't even climb stairs without wheezing. Can't decide that. I came here to make a chain, to read books, to find things that might help John. And you've already done that, Marwyn said. You brought word. You brought proof in your own strange way. You stand at a crossroads you did not ask for. You can walk away and let others decide, or you can understand the road they're choosing and maybe nudge it. A little. A nudge, Sam thought, remembering the first shove out of his father's hall. The second onto the wall. The third onto a ship. What would you have me do? He whispered. Marwyn reached up and plucked the black iron chain from its hook. The metal did not gleam. It drank the lamplight. First, he said, you'll watch. Then, when the moment comes, you'll speak a few words. You've done that before, haven't you? At the wall. Vows and such. Sam stared at the black iron links. Their weight in Marwyn's hand seemed out of proportion to their size, as if each carried a piece of a storm. I don't want to be part of any conspiracy, he said weakly. I don't even like secrets. They make my stomach hurt. Marwyn huffed a laugh. Secrets exist regardless of whether your stomach is calm, he said. The question is whether they're all in the hands of men who think only of stillness, or whether someone who has seen the dead walk has a say in what comes next. He lowered the chain. Will you listen to an old man who's worn too much metal and seen too many fools? Or will you go back to the novice's cells and pretend the world is simple? Sam's eyes stung. I'll listen, he said. That night, while Old Town slept under its veil of fog and the high tower's beacon pulsed like a heartbeat through the mist, the conclave gathered again. This time they climbed not down into the hidden places, but up. The stair to the high tower's uppermost chamber was long and narrow, spiraling along the inside of the massive structure. Sam's legs protested with every step. He clutched the rough stone of the inner wall and tried not to think of how far above the river they must already be. Marwyn climbed ahead of him with infuriating ease, broad back steady, chain clinking softly. Behind Sam, other feet scraped and wheezed. The Archmasters did not often make this ascent. Their knees were not built for it, but some rites required height. Why here? Sam panted when they paused at a small landing to let Orwyn catch his breath. Why not in the conclave chamber? Because the first binding was done here, Marwyn murmured. At the top of the highest tower in the south, in sight of the sea and the stars. They thought distance from the ground would keep them safe from the currents they were meddling with. Fools, he added, almost fondly. But at least their bravado left us something to work with. Sam licked his lips. You're sure about this? If I were sure, Marwyn said, I would be somewhere else. Certainty is for men who don't understand what they're touching. His eyes glinted in the torchlight. We will nudge, Sam. That is all. They mean to tighten the chain until it snaps. We will change the song slightly. Let the knot slip in a different direction. And if it breaks anyway? Sam whispered. It will, Marwyn said. One way or another. The question is not whether the world changes. It's what shape the change takes. They climbed again. At last, the stair opened into a wide chamber whose outer wall was a ring of tall, narrow windows. Fog pressed against the glass, making the world beyond a soft gray nothing. The ceiling arched overhead in a graceful dome, its ribs painted with faded constellations. The floor was inlaid with a complex pattern of circles and lines made from different stones: white marble, black basalt, red sandstone, green jade. At the very center of the design lay a disc of some dark metal that seemed to drink the light, twin to the one in the conclave chamber below, only larger. The Archmasters stood around the circle, their chains strangely bright against the muted stones. Leland's face was pale but composed. Orwyn's eyes were hollow. Malin looked like a man who wished he were anywhere else but had come anyway, because duty and habit gave him no other language. Sam hovered near the door, feeling very small. Come, Leland said, beckoning him. You will stand here. Sam approached the circle's edge with the careful steps of a man walking toward a cliff. Why? He asked. I'm not even. You are a sworn brother of the Night's Watch, Leland said. A witness from the edge. You've seen the things we speak of in abstract. Your presence will balance the right. Symbolism matters, even to men who claim not to believe in it. He gave a small, humorless smile. We pretend otherwise, but we have our own superstitions. Sam glanced at Marwyn. The older Maester nodded slightly, eyes unreadable. Remember what we spoke of, Marwyn murmured. When you answer, answer as we rehearsed. Not too loudly, just enough. Sam's stomach lurched. What if I forget? You won't, Marwyn said. You're too afraid. He placed a heavy hand on Sam's shoulder and guided him onto a small circle of white stone within the larger pattern. Sam stood, feeling incredibly conspicuous. He could feel the eyes of the Archmasters on him, weighing, measuring. What we are about to do, Leland said, raising his voice so that it filled the chamber. We do for the realm, for the small folk who will never know our names, for the children who would otherwise be born into a world of terror. We do not ask that you like it, only that you understand it must be done. I understand that something must be done, Orwyn said. I am less sure this is it, but we are past the luxury of pure choices. We must pick our poison. Better the poison we know, Malin muttered. Begin, Leland said. The Archmasters moved as one, stepping into positions around the central disc. Each took up a chain of black iron from a shallow bowl and draped it over his shoulders. The metal looked far too heavy for their aged bodies, but they bore it without visible strain. Marwyn alone did not put on the black iron. He stayed at the outer edge of the circle, hands folded, eyes intent. To anyone else, he might have seemed merely an observer. Sam knew better. The pattern he and Marwyn had sketched in the dust of the hidden library burned in his mind. A slight alteration in angle here, a different word there. A nudge. Leland began to speak. The language was old, older than the common tongue, older than the Undul conquest, older perhaps than the first men. Its sounds were harsh and soft at once, like wind under ice. The other Archmasters joined in, their voices weaving in and out of his. The air seemed to thicken around their words. Sam did not know the meaning of the phrases, but he recognized rhythms. They were calling to forces bound beneath the earth, to patterns laid down in rock and water long ago. Not asking, demanding, directing. The circles in the floor began to glow, faintly at first, then brighter. Lines of dull red seeped through the white marble, blue through the black basalt, green through the jade. The central disc drank it all in. The glass of the windows trembled, though no wind struck it. The hairs on Sam's arms rose. He felt pressure in his ears, like the deep silence before a storm. Something in the ground far below shifted, slow and massive, like a sleeping beast disturbed. Leland's voice climbed in pitch. The black iron chains around the Archmaster's necks darkened further, as if ink were seeping into the metal. Orwyn's hands shook. Sweat ran down Malin's temples. Sam tried to remember the pattern Marwyn had drawn. The shape of the world's flows, the way the First Rite had channeled excess magic into deep places where it could do less harm. The way a small change could turn that channel in another direction. Not toward men's safety, not toward the gods. Whims, but toward release. Not trickling away slowly, but surging back all at once, like a river freed of a dam. His heart hammered. John's face flashed in his mind again. Gillies, the blue eyes of the others. We need fire, he thought. We need whatever can stand against them. If the Maesters smother it. The song around him rose. This was the moment, the apex of the rite, when word and will bound together. Leland's gaze turned toward Sam, though his eyes seemed unfocused, seeing something far beyond the chamber. Bear witness, he said, the words of the old tongue turning suddenly clear in Sam's ears, as if they had always been his own. Do you, sworn brother of the Night's Watch, agree that the excess of wild power must be bound for the safety of men? The reply had been rehearsed. Marwyn had drilled it into Sam's tongue until he could recite it in his sleep. An answer that would shift the flow, twist the pattern, turn binding into unbinding and dam into gate. In the hidden library, the words had seemed like lines on a page. Now they felt like the edge of a cliff. Sam's legs shook. He thought of a world where the Maesters tightened the chains and the others slipped around them anyway, unopposed. He thought of a world where magic surged back and swallowed everything. Fire and shadow, dragon and white, king and peasant. There is no safe choice, he realized. There is only the choice that admits it is dangerous. His mouth was dry. He licked his lips. I agree, he began, then faltered. That was wrong. That would be assent. Marwyn had told him. Fear stabbed him like a knife. He clung to the fear, cut through the fog in his mind. He forced the words out, not as they had run in the practice, but from somewhere deeper. I bear witness, Sam said, voice cracking and then firming. I say that power cannot be slain, only turned. I say that to bind all is to bind ourselves blind. I say, let the world remember what it has forgotten. His words fell into the pattern like a dropped stone into a still pool. For a heartbeat, nothing changed. The Archmaster's chant rolled on, Leland's lead strong. The floor glow brightened. The pressure in Sam's ears deepened until he thought his head would burst. Then the note of the song twisted. It was not a sound any one man made. It was the sum of them, bent around the small defiance of a single frightened boy. The lines of light on the floor hesitated, wavered, and then reversed. The red seeped out of the marble. The blue fled the basalt. The colors raced inward toward the central disk, not in a steady flow but in a sudden collapsing rush, like water sucked down a drain. Leland's eyes snapped fully into focus. "What?" he began. The central disk flared. Light blazed up from it, not any color Sam knew. It was white and black at once, the flash of a star being born and dying in the same instant. The black iron chains around the Archmaster's neck screamed. Metal shrieking so high Sam felt it in his bones rather than heard it. The windows exploded inward, shards of glass spinning like deadly snowflakes. Something hit Sam, hard, and knocked him to the ground. His head struck stone. The world went strange and far away. For a moment, there was nothing but light and sound and the sensation of falling without moving. Then even that was gone. The last thing Sam felt before blackness claimed him was the cold. Not the chill of a winter wind, not the damp cool of Old Town's fog, but a pure, absolute cold that burned. It went through his skin, his flesh, his bones, down into a part of him that was not quite body. Infinitely distant, impossibly close, something vast and ancient turned its attention toward the flicker of his mind. Then the world broke. Across Westeros and beyond, the breaking came like the shudder of some colossal beast shaking off sleep. In the Frostfangs, where jagged peaks clawed at the unkind sky, a band of wildlings huddled around a meager fire. Snow swirled outside their lean-to. Their leader, a woman with hair like iron wire, was in the middle of a muttered curse when the flames leaped without warning. They shot up twice, 3 times their height, burning blue-white. The wood did not crackle. The fire did not seem to consume it at all. The air around the wildlings roared with heat. Yet when one of them reached out a tentative hand, it passed through the flames without pain. The woman's curse died on her tongue. In the blue fire she saw shapes, fleeting and sharp. The wall, shining like a blade, men in black, white shapes moving in the snow. Her own face, older, scarred, laughing. A boy with her eyes, holding aloft a horn carved with strange sigils. Then the images shattered like glass. The flames sank back to their normal size, yellow and orange and crackling. The wood was blackened as if it had burned for hours. The wildlings stared at one another, eyes wide. In the land of always winter, where no fire had burned for an age, a different light stirred. On a field of ice-crusted corpses, something above the still sky pulsed once, faintly, like the remembered beat of a stopped heart. The others lifted their heads. For long centuries they had moved according to deep, slow instincts, following patterns set in place when the first binding was made. Their will was not human, their thoughts not like men's thoughts. They had waited at the edge of the world, held partly asleep by the same chains that weakened their foes. Now those chains snapped. Cold poured into them like wine into a cup. The pale glow of their eyes blazed. Shapes that had been wandering, half aware, snapped into focus. 1,000 slender cracks in the wall's great rune net flared in their perception. They began to move. On the wall itself, Jon Snow woke with a gasp. He had been dreaming, he thought, of Old Town, though he had never seen it. Of a boy who looked a little like Sam, only narrower, standing in a circle of light and saying something Jon could. Not here. Of chains breaking. He sat up in the dark. The air of his chamber was bitter, even for Castle Black. His breath came white and thick. His blankets were stiff with frost where his body had not touched them. Beyond the small slit of his window, he saw the stars flicker. Not the usual twinkling of distant fire through cold air, but a strange, coordinated dimming, as if some vast hand were passing across the sky. For an instant, every light in the heavens seemed to gutter. The darkness that replaced them was not empty. It was full of possibility, full of watching. Then the stars flared back to life, brighter than before. Jon swung his legs over the side of the bed and hissed as his bare feet met the stone. The floor felt wrong. It hummed under his skin like a plucked bowstring. He stood slowly, putting more weight on his heels. The hum intensified. "Ghost," he called. The dire wolf was at the door before the word left his lips. Great white shape materializing from the shadows. Ghost's red eyes shone like coals. His fur bristled, but he did not bare his teeth. He pressed his head against Jon's hip with unusual urgency, shifting from foot to foot. "What is it?" Jon asked softly. His voice seemed to echo strangely in the room. He laid a hand on Ghost's flank, and for a heartbeat he was not in Castle Black. He was standing on top of the wall, snow whipping around him, the world spread below like a map. He felt the rough ice under his paws, smelled the electric tang of the frozen air, heard the slow grinding sound from deep within the wall as something ancient stretched. His paws, not his boots, his paws. Jon's breath caught. The vision was gone in an instant, but its echo clung. He stared at Ghost. The dire wolf stared back, and for the first time Jon had the clear, dizzying sense of another mind looking at him from behind those red eyes. Not just an animal's instincts, but something keen and aware. "Did you see it too?" Jon whispered. Ghost huffed, a soft expulsion of air. In Jon's mind, unbidden, a word formed. Not in any language he had learned at Winterfell or the Wall, but clear nonetheless. "Wake." The ravens in the rookery exploded into noise. Men cursed and shouted as feathers whirled. Clydas stumbled from his pallet, trying to calm the birds, but the ravens were past calming. They beat at their cages, screaming words that had never been taught to them, phrases half understood from messages they had carried years ago, all jumbled together. "Cold," one shrieked. "Kings," "Fire," "Blood," another chanted. "Snow, snow, 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 snow," until its voice broke. A third croaked, "Dragons," in a voice that sounded horribly like Maesters. Jon stumbled up the stairs to the top of the wall, Ghost at his heels. The wind hit him like an axe as he emerged into the open, but he barely felt it. He ran to the edge and looked north. The sky over the land of always winter was alight, not with fire, with something colder. Bands of pale green and blue and ghostly white rippled across the darkness like the scales of some vast serpent. The air vibrated with a sound too low to hear and too deep not to feel. Waves of color rolled and folded over themselves, reaching toward the south. Jon's breath came short and sharp. His scar ached. Behind him, the men of the Night's Watch muttered and crossed themselves. Some knelt, some stood rigid, fists clenched. "What is it?" Dolorous Ed murmured, coming to stand beside Jon. "Tell me it's not as bad as it looks." "I don't know," Jon said. He thought of Sam of Old Town. "But I think something's changed." In Meereen, the pyramid burned. Daenerys Targaryen woke to the feel of heat on her face and the smell of smoke. Her heart seized, for a moment, with the memory of another night, another fire, another set of screams. She bolted upright, hands scrabbling for the dagger under her pillow. There were no screams, only a low, thrumming roar that seemed to come from the stone itself. The air of her chamber, high in the Great Pyramid, was hot enough to sting her lungs. Sweat beaded on her skin. "Drogon," she whispered. She flung aside the light blanket and rushed to the balcony. Beyond the carved stone balustrade, Meereen sprawled in shadow, its streets silvered by the setting moon. But the light that bathed her was not moonlight. It came from below, from the heart of the pyramid. Fire blazed up the inner shaft that led from the great dragon pit to the open sky. It was not normal fire. It was white and gold, streaked with uncanny shades of violet and blue. It moved as if it had intention, coiling and uncoiling, lashing at the walls. The massive chains that had once held her dragons clanked and snapped, molten metal dripping from them like tears. A deafening bellow split the night. Drogon surged up through the fire, wings flung wide. His scales shone with an intensity that hurt to look at. Every scar across his black hide glowed faintly, as if lit from within. Viserion and Regal followed, their cries weaving a wild harmony. They spiraled up through the open top of the shaft and burst into the sky, trailing plumes of flame. Daenerys clutched the balcony railing. The stone under her hands vibrated. She felt the roar in her bones. Tears blinded her eyes. From heat or joy or fear, she did not know. "What is happening?" Missandei asked, appearing at her side, hair tousled, a light robe thrown over her nightgown. "Your Grace, the Unsullied." Her words were drowned by another blast of sound. Not a roar, a crack. The great harpy statue crowning the pyramid lurched. For years it had loomed over Meereen with all the weight of its oppressive history. Bronze wings spread. Now, a line of light traced itself along its neck. The line widened, brilliant as a sword edge in the sun. The harpy's head fell. It plummeted down the side of the pyramid, trailing sparks, and crashed into a plaza below in a storm of bronze and dust. The ground Oak. A wave of shouts rose from the city. Daenerys stared at the jagged stump. The light along the break still glowed, not cooling like ordinary metal, but sinking slowly into the stone. She could not breathe for a moment. "Khaleesi," whispered a voice. She turned. Standing in the doorway to her chamber, framed by the flickering light, was a man in brown robes with a shaved head and eyes like polished river stones. A red stone hung on a chain at his throat, pulsing faintly. "Kaith?" Daenerys asked, disoriented. The masked woman had been gone from her dreams for some time, but this was no mask. "I am not the one you saw in the City of Bones," the man said. His voice rolled with the accent of Ashai. "But I serve the same fires. They show us much tonight." "Who are you?" Daenerys demanded. "A messenger," he said. "A priest of the Lord of Light. The flames have burned clearer than in centuries. We have seen your dragons, Mother of Dragons. We have seen ice and shadow and chains breaking. Magic, as you call it, has returned to the world in truth." "It has been returning," Daenerys said, heart pounding. "The dragons were the first cracks," the priest said. "Tonight the dam burst. Your children will grow fast now. So will your enemies. There will be no more safe illusions. Only truth in fire and blood." Daenerys gripped the railing until her knuckles whitened. Drogon banked in the sky above, fire spilling from his open jaws in a stream that painted the clouds gold. "Then it is time," she whispered. "Time to go home." In King's Landing, Cersei Lannister woke in the dark with her heart beating too fast. For an instant, she did not know where she was. The ceiling above her blurred and swam. The smell of wine and stale perfume clung to the bed curtains. A thin line of moonlight slanted across the floor, picking out the curve of a fallen goblet, the glint of pooled wine like spilled blood. Her head ached. Her mouth tasted sour. Her dreams had been thick with smoke. She pushed herself upright, blinking. Something was wrong. The city was never silent. Even at the deadest hour, there were always sounds. Distant cries, the clatter of wheels on cobbles, a dog barking. Tonight, there was none of that. The silence lay over the red keep like a pinned shroud. Cersei swung her feet to the floor and hissed. The stone was freezing, small sharp shards pricking her soles. Glass. She peered down. Tiny fragments glittered in the moonlight. She looked up. The window had cracked. A spiderweb of fractures radiated from the center of the pane, as if some invisible fist had struck it from without. Cold seeped through. "This is nonsense," she muttered, fighting a childish urge to call for her maids. "It's a window. Glass breaks." She crossed to it, crunching on shards, and peered out. The city lay below in darkness. Not the enveloping dark of a starless night, but a strange, suspended shadow. The torches along the city walls were dim and thin, their flames shivering. The bay beyond was a black mirror. As she watched, one of the torches flared abruptly. The flame crawled up the wall, clinging to the stone, a snake of greenish light. It slithered along the battlements toward a watchtower. For a moment, the tower's outline burned vivid emerald, then faded. Wildfire, Cersei thought, her throat closing. She knew that sickly glow too well. She grabbed the window frame hard enough to hurt. "No," she whispered. "It was all burned. It had to be. During the war." A soft chuckle sounded behind her. She whirled, heart lurching. Qyburn stood in the doorway, as composed as if he had simply walked in to discuss a poultice. The faint lamplight from the corridor behind him limned the lines of his thin face and the disreputable slope of his shoulders. "Forgive me, Your Grace," he said. "I knocked, but you did not answer. I took the liberty." Cersei's eyes narrowed. "What happened?" she demanded. "What have you done?" "Nothing," Qyburn said mildly. "For once, the world has moved without my hand." His gaze flicked to the cracked glass. "Though I confess a professional interest in the way it chose to move." "Speak plainly," Cersei snapped, "or take your interest back to your crypt." Qyburn inclined his head. "Some currents have shifted," he said. "The little experiments I have conducted in the depths, the mouse that moved after its heart stopped, the hand that clenched long after its owner's last breath, responded tonight as if to a summons. For a few moments, they stirred of their own accord. No needles, no powders, no prayers." His thin lips curved. "The world is suddenly more generous with certain forces. Necromancy," she thought. "Sorcery, things best left to children's tales." Yet she remembered a shadow on a bridge, a king falling. She remembered a woman with fire in her eyes and a voice like smoke. "What changed?" she asked. "Something unbound a fetter," Qyburn said. "Or broke it. The Maesters in Old Town will know more, if they haven't already killed themselves trying to stop it." "The Maesters," she spat. "Gray rats with ink-stained fingers. If they've loosed something on my city, they did not loose it for your sake," Qyburn said. "Or for anyone's. They think themselves guardians of reason. I suspect they have just learned that reason is a thin cloak when the wind rises." He stepped farther into the room, boots crunching on glass. "This could work to our advantage, Your Grace," he said. "If the dead are easier to wake." Cersei's mind leaped down that path with dangerous ease. An army that did not eat or sleep or mutter. An army loyal only to her. "And if they are easier to wake for others as well?" she asked. "If enemies I have put in the ground can rise as easily as those I wish to call?" Qyburn's smile did not reach his eyes. "Then we must be better at it," he said simply. She looked back out at the city. The line of green light along the wall had faded entirely, as if it had never been. But here and there, in the darkest corners of King's Landing, she thought she saw faint flickers. The memory of fire. Perhaps she thought, this is what we deserve. For years we've played at power with lions and gold and steel, and all the while we forgot the older games being played under our feet. Now the board has changed. Fine. If the world meant to throw dragons and shadows at her, she would throw back everything she had. She would not cower behind the skirts of Maesters. "Find out what you can," she said to Qyburn, "about what has changed, about how to use it." He bowed. "With pleasure, Your Grace. And send a raven to Old Town," she added. "Ask them what they have done." Politely, her smile was brittle. For now, when Sam woke, he thought at first that he was back in his cell in Castle Black. The ache in his head was familiar, so was the smell of old straw. But the air was warmer, thicker. The distant sound of gulls gave Old Town away. He tried to sit up. His skull roared. A groan escaped him. "Careful," said a voice. "You're not dead, but your brain tried its best." Sam blinked. The world swam, then steadied. He was lying on a narrow pallet in a small stone chamber, a single slit window letting in a wedge of gray light. All Eras sat on a stool beside him, arms resting on his knees. "What?" Sam managed. "What happened?" "You helped break the world," All Eras said. "Or fix it. Opinions vary." Memory came back in fragments. The tower, the circle, the blinding light, the scream of metal, the cold. "The right," Sam whispered. "Did it work?" That depends on what you think work means. Alariz's eyes were unusually serious. The Archmaesters intended to tighten a net. Instead, they cut it. Most of them are still arguing about whether that was a catastrophe or a success. He paused. 3 died. Sam's stomach lurched. Who? Malin, Al-Iris said softly. His chain burned into his skin. Valen. His heart stopped the moment the light flared. Orwin. He hesitated. He didn't die. Not exactly. But he's not here. He just sits and stares at the wall, mumbling in the old tongue. Sometimes his eyes glow. They've put him somewhere people can't see. Sam closed his eyes. And Leland? He asked, throat tight. Alive, Al-Iris said. Angry, confused, afraid. He is not used to feeling any of those things. Marwyn? Sam forced himself to ask. At that, Alariz's mouth quirked. Gone, he said. The moment he could stand, he took his candle and left the citadel. Some say he's gone to find your dragon queen. Others say he's gone mad and walked into the sea. Knowing Marwyn, he'd be more likely to walk on it. Sam's head spun. He clutched at his blanket. The world, he whispered. Did it change? Can you feel it? Alariz's gaze drifted to the slit of window. Last night, he said. I dreamt I was an arrow flying from my own bow. I felt the air, the pull of the string, the soft give of flesh when I struck. I woke with my fingers cramped around an invisible shaft. He flexed his hand. In the yard this morning, I split a moving rat in 2 from 30 paces without thinking. My aim was good before. Now it's better. That's... Sam swallowed. That's not magic. That's just... Is it? Al-Iris asked. What is magic, Sam? A word we use for things men cannot explain. It's not only fire that burns without wood or shadows that kill. It's also the way some men see a step ahead on the board, the way some women feel storms before they come. The world just made those tendencies stronger. Sam thought of his own dreams, of the candle, of the way the old tongue had suddenly made sense when Leland addressed him. I understood them, he whispered. The words. I shouldn't. I've barely learned my declensions. You were standing in the middle of a pattern drawn in the same shape as your fear, Al-Iris said. Fear is a good teacher. So is necessity. Sam rubbed his face. John, he said. The wall. If the others. Ravens arrived this morning, Al-Iris said. From Eastwatch, Castle Black, the Shadow Tower. The messages were strange. Half the words ran together. Some new ones crept in. But they all agreed on one thing. The wall is awake. He tilted his head. One brother wrote that he could hear songs in the stone. Another that when he touched it, he saw visions. Another that ghosts of the first men walked the ramparts. Sam's heart thudded. Is that good? Good, Al-Iris shrugged. It's change. The wall was always more than a heap of ice. Now the bindings that dulled it are gone. The powers that made it are freer to move. Perhaps that will help. Perhaps it will make the coming storm worse. Perhaps both. Sam pressed the heels of his hands into his eyes. I just wanted to help, he whispered. I thought if there was more magic, more fire, we could fight them. I didn't mean to break everything. In my land, Al-Iris said quietly, they say that when you break a bone, it sometimes grows back stronger. If it's set right. If it's not, it twists. You didn't break this bone alone, Sam. Men with black iron around their necks have been weakening it for centuries. You were a well-timed shove. Sam stared at the ceiling. Patterns of faint cracks ran through the stone, new and spider-fine. What are they going to do? He asked. The Archmaesters. With me. Alariz's smile returned, but it did not reach his eyes. Some want to throw you from the high tower, he said. Some want to lock you in the hidden library and never let you out. Leland, he paused. Leland is not sure. He has always believed he knows what is right. It unsettles him to be shown he can be wrong. Sam thought of the coldness in Leland's voice, the conviction. I broke his ritual, he whispered. I betrayed him. You chose a different danger, Oliris said. That's not the same as betrayal, not to anyone with sense. But sense is in short supply when men are frightened. He stood. Which is why you are leaving. Leaving, Sam echoed. Going where? To the one place in Westeros where knowledge of magic might be used to keep men alive instead of merely tidy, Oliris said. North, to your wall. Marwyn left you something. He reached into his sleeve and drew out a small object wrapped in cloth. Sam took it with numb fingers and unwrapped it. A faint cold radiated into his palms. It was a shard of glass. Not clear, not colored, but deep, smoky black. When he turned it, light seemed to move within it, tiny sparks like distant stars behind fog. A fragment of his candle, Oliris said. He broke it before he left, for reasons of his own. He thought you should have a piece. Sam stared into the glass. For a moment he thought he saw the wall, the sea, a girl with silver hair. They flickered and were gone. What am I meant to do with it? He whispered. Listen, Oliris said simply. Learn. Show it to the men at the wall who can do something with what it shows. And perhaps, he hesitated, perhaps give it to the one boy who may need it most. Which boy? Sam asked, but Oliris was already moving toward the door. There is a boat waiting, he said. Small and unremarkable. Old Town is going to be noisy for a while. Best you're gone before the arguments turn to knives. Sam clutched the shard. Why are you helping me? He called. Oliris paused with his hand on the latch. He glanced back, and for a heartbeat Sam saw something in his eyes that was not novice uncertainty but old patience. Because I am fond of chaos that does not forget the small folk, he said. And because I would like to see how this story ends. Far to the north, in a hollow beneath the roots of a giant weirwood, a boy's eyes snapped open. Bran Stark could not feel his legs. He had grown used to that. He also could not feel his hands, his face, his body lying on the cold cavern floor. Instead, he felt branches. He was the branches, the roots, the sap. He was wind in leaves and snow on bark and the slow, patient growth of rings. He was the memory of the forest and the river and the stone. Then suddenly he was more. The song that had been a low, endless murmur, always there but muffled, roared into clarity. The world of trees and streams that he had been learning to navigate expanded in a blinding rush. Every weirwood in the north flared in his awareness, bright as a torch. Every carved face turned toward him. Faces that had slept for centuries opened carved eyes and saw. Bran cried out without a mouth. Visions crashed over him. A woman with a crown of flames standing on a blackened field. A man with a painted face rowing through a sea of glass. A tower falling, slow and stately. A boy on a wall of ice, hand pressed to the stone, eyes wide. A girl with a sword shouting a name beneath a red sky. Wolves running, dragons flying, dead men marching. Easy, croaked a voice beside him. Easy, boy. Bran tore himself free of the onslaught, like a swimmer breaking the surface of a river. He slammed back into his own flesh with a jolt. The cave roof swam above him. The pale, decaying face of the three-eyed crow, of Brynden Rivers, leaned over him, eyes like milk. What? Bran gasped. What happened? The walls, Brynden rasped. The walls on the world have cracked. The chains have loosened. I warned them. His gaze unfocused for a moment, flitting in directions that did not exist in the cave. Old fools meddling with forces they never understood. The Maesters always feared what grew in the dark. Now they've torn down their curtain and let the sun in. Is that bad? Bran whispered. Brynden's skull-like mouth twisted. For some, he said. For others, it was time. He sighed, and the sound seemed older than the stones. The old gods' voices are clearer. The children are stirring in their sleep. The others are waking, and the boy on the wall will need you sooner than I thought. Jon, Bran said, Brynden's gaze fixed on him. Your brother, he said. Your blood. ice and fire both move in him. He will stand where the world narrows. And you must be his eyes where his feet cannot tread. How? Bran asked. His heart pounded. I can't walk. I can't even leave this cave. You can, Brynden said. Just not as you think. He lifted a withered hand and touched Bran's forehead. The chains are broken, boy. Fly, Bran Ciel.